Today, I'm opening up some slimes from Amazon and seeing if they need fixing or not. Let's get started. Okay, so all of the slimes actually came shipped together in this Amazon box, and this is literally how they came. Like, there was no protective packaging or anything, so I was just hoping that they weren't broken. However, 2 of them did come in a box, so I guess maybe that's why. Now, I didn't realize this was a DIY slime. I thought I was just ordering this slime on its own, pre-made. So I was a little bit surprised when I found out there were lots of little ingredients in there, including these little ducks. I'm guessing the seller knows that Amazon don't use a ton of protective packaging because this was shrink wrapped, so no slime could escape. My first impressions were that the color was absolutely beautiful and that the slime was crystal clear, but the slime did have a really strong kind of chemically sweet scent to it that I didn't love. And honestly, it was more of the fact that it was just too strong. Now, the texture itself was actually pretty great. It was super stretchy and kind of felt a bit more like a putty than slime, but it was like a weird hybrid mix. And I've not really felt anything like this before. A part of me honestly just wanted to leave it, but at the same time, I knew I kind of wanted to change it up a little bit, so it went straight into the bowl with some glue, because I have no self-control. Now, I decided to use white glue for this because I wanted to switch it up a little bit, and I was hoping that we could maybe make it a little bit less putty-like and more slime-like, and I was also thinking by adding glue, we can reduce the strength of the fragrance and actually make it smell not way too strong, because I actually feel like it might have made me pass out. I just mixed in this glue, then added a little bit more activator to bring it back to life. I did notice that it took quite a bit more activator than I was expecting, and I almost had to like cover the slime completely in activator to even be able to touch it because it was so sticky at one point. But after a little while, it did come together and actually form a really smooth, kind of unique texture that kind of felt like a candle slime. If you don't know what that is, I'll make it in another video. Now, I actually had to let that sit for like 3 days while I was waiting for my clay to get delivered. So 3 days later, I got some clay and dyed it purple. This was actually a complete nightmare to mix with the gloves. This is a new type of clay I was using, and it just stuck to the gloves. I was really happy with this texture, but the clay was just a little bit too soft, so I ended up mixing in some Daiso clay just to make it a little more dry and have a bit of a thicker texture. Now, I didn't really say why I was using this clay, but it's because I want to give this slime a clay waffle topper. So I literally just rolled a ball of this clay out and pushed it into a waffle mold, and there we had it, the perfect kind of purple waffle. Now, because the slime had sat for a few days, the slime itself went super glossy and the texture actually improved. It was a little more stretchier and actually smoother and a lot more fun to play with. Because this slime actually came with a kind of cool like bucket container, I ended up just putting the slime back in there and of course placing the purple waffle on top of it, along with this really random but cute sprinkle mix that goes with it really well. This was a completely random slime, so I thought I should just add the ducks on top too. And again, I feel like it all went together really well. But I was kind of thinking, what would I have called this? I honestly have no clue, so let me know in the comments below what you would name this slime. Now, the texture of the original Amazon slime wasn't bad, but this is so much nicer. And the clay mixing into this super smooth and glossy slime honestly gave it the perfect kind of creaminess. And in my opinion, improved the slime, along with the fragrance of it, which was now significantly dulled down and actually smelled like blueberries. This slime definitely didn't need to be fixed, but I'm actually really glad that I did because I prefer this texture a lot more than what it arrived as. Okay, so the next slime that we have actually came in a bucket with these weird like fidget toy things strapped on top of it that went everywhere. But I really was not sure how this was actually packed because you couldn't really see inside of the bucket. And then when I opened it up and I saw that the slime was just in these little Ziploc bags, I was a little bit disappointed. I could kind of feel that the slime was pretty watery and jiggly and I hadn't even opened them yet. And instead of fixing them all, I decided to just go with the 2 colors I think would go together best and then empty those into a bowl. My prediction about them being kind of watery and jiggly was spot on, and in fact they were actually very like wet and slimy, and I guess it's what I ordered, slime, but I wasn't expecting it to be like this type of slime. I emptied the green one into the bowl first, followed by the neon yellow one, and I will say I really do love the colors of these, and I was so excited to see how they would actually mix together considering they're kind of similar in hue. Again, the yellow one did have the exact same texture and I knew it would be like this, which was a little bit disappointing, but I was hopeful that I was able to turn it into something that would be more enjoyable to play with. The first thing I knew I needed to do was just melt it down, so I added some glue into it and then just mixed that together. This actually surprisingly mixed into the glue super easily, and I'm guessing it's because the slime already has quite a high water content, so it was pretty easy to melt into the glue. I absolutely love how the colors mix together, and it was actually really beautiful to watch them mix together while I was mixing it, and it turned into this beautiful lime green color, which is kind of giving brat. Now, adding the glue actually didn't melt the slime down, it kind of just made it a little stickier, so I decided to go straight in with the instant instant snow instead of activator, so it would easily stick to the slime and I wouldn't have to keep on mixing it. Now, because the slime itself was actually really sticky, the snow melted into it pretty easily, and I actually added a splash of activator after the snow had mixed in, and it combined it really well together and also really quickly. I noticed that although it came together pretty quickly, it was actually kind of crumbly in texture, but the more I mixed it, the less crumbly it became and the fluffier and smoother it got. I also noticed that because the slime was watery, adding in the instant snow kind of activated it a little differently because the water content was so high already. Now, this made a ton of slime, so I placed it into a fresh container and swirled it around on top. And I was trying to go for like a bamboo type panda theme with this slime because of the green, so I topped it with some sprinkles that I feel like matched this, along with a panda charm. I have to say that the end result of this is so much better than what I received, and those slimes definitely needed to be fixed because how they came was just so underwhelming. I could tell a difference in texture from the normal type of cloud slime I made, and it did feel a little less solid, but overall I think this is such an improvement, and I'm so much happier with this. Moving on, we have the third slime, which is actually in the same style as the first slime. In fact, they were pretty much packed identically, so I'm wondering if they're made in the same factory or from the same seller. Now, this slime actually came with a ton of panda-themed sprinkles, Fimos, and glitters, and I was so annoyed with myself for not opening this one before the last one, because I so would have used the panda charms from this one on that last slime. Nonetheless, this seemed to be the same type of slime as the first one that we fixed, but it was just clear and came with a load of things I didn't really want to put into it. I unwrapped this and opened it up, and it was so beautifully clear. There was absolutely no dirt or debris or anything. It was crystal clear. And I was so glad that when I opened it for the first time, it was the same texture as the first slime because I really liked that. So I knew I didn't want to change the texture of this one. Now, I was playing with this and debating whether I wanted to color it or not, but I decided that it was mainly the texture that I cared about, so I put it into a bowl and dyed it neon pink. Not only did I want to make it pink, but I also wanted to make it super sparkly, so I added a ton of glitter and then just mixed that in with some gloves. I have to say, I think filming this was the most satisfying part of this video just because of how beautiful the glitter looked in the slime and how crunchy and satisfying it was to mix the glitter into this. Sometimes when adding glitter to slime, it can change the texture up and make it a little bit crunchy, but this was not the case with this and it remained beautifully smooth. Now, I was going to stop here, but it just seemed a little boring, and I figured out if I only added a little bit of clay, it wouldn't change the texture too much, so I used some Daiso clay and rolled it into a ball and pressed it into this ice cream mold, which makes super realistic ice cream scoops. I actually just kept the ice cream scoop white because I like the contrast with the slime, and added this hot air balloon charm to the top of it along with some glitter to the slime in the container. Once this was on top, it kind of reminded me of cloud, so I added some cloud charms to the base of the slime, and there we have our finished product. Now, I know we didn't do a ton of work to this, and we literally just added some glitter and some dye and this ice cream scoop, but I was so much happier with how this looks than the plain clear slime, and I was so happy that the Daiso clay didn't actually really change the texture up too much, and it kept this kind of like putty butter slime texture, which was actually better than before. Now, I'll be honest, I feel like this slime didn't necessarily need fixing, but it was so much fun to just give it a makeover and fix it up a little bit. I had so much fun opening these slimes from Amazon, seeing what I was going to get, and then giving them a makeover. Let me know in the comments below which one was your favorite, and if you like this video and want to see more like this, make sure to hit subscribe. Until the next video, I'll see you guys in the next one.